Hello, world, and welcome. My name is Mark, and today I'll be talking with João Leão about his new album, Celestial, as well as his thoughts on songwriting, recording, and more. Welcome, João, and thanks for being with me here today.
Yes, thanks, Mark. So good being here and looking forward for our talk.
Fantastic. Before we talk about your new album, I wanted to start with a little of your musical journey because you've been making music a long time, living around the world, recording as a featured artist on more than 30 albums, and even playing major festivals around the world, and that's quite a resume.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a ride.
Yeah, there's more to come. But let's go back. When did you start playing music, and what was your inspiration? What got you started?
Yeah, I kind of consider myself a late musician because I study music since I was a child, of course. I started studying piano at between 9, 12 years old. But I always had so many interests in life, sports and computers and things like that. So music was just like kind of this other thing. And I never really kind of had bands when I was in school or, was such a prolific child musician. I just kind of had music classes and played piano at home. And I didn't got into music kind of deeply until I was I don't know, 25, 26 years old. I was kind of almost graduating my engineering bachelor. But kind of music was always around my house. My dad is a musician, is an amateur musician, but he plays the guitar very well, and so I always had an acoustic guitar lying around at home, and had piano classes. So I think when I was around 20-ish, I started kind of getting my dad's guitar, and kind of self-teaching myself to play the guitar, because the piano is so bulky, and I don't know, at night everybody's kind of, having dinner, watching TV, and I didn't want to disturb, anybody. And we only had the piano in the house, I didn't have keyboards or anything like that. So
Right.
I started kind of getting the guitar. Oh, let's, the guitar, we can play quieter. And that's what was kind of when I discovered João Gilberto. My dad is a huge fan of João Gilberto also, so he had all the records and he had some VHS shows that I would watch, and so when I discovered the guitar and that I could kind of do the chords, because it took a while. I was always getting the guitar one time and my finger will never do that, and just leaving it. But at some time it got kind of in a good momentum, and I started kind of got really addicted to João Gilberto, listening to all of his albums. And then I would get my dad's VHS tapes and would put them in slow motion until the time the cameraman kind of focused on the arm of the guitar, and then I would pause, and then I would see which finger was which, and the sound that was coming. Is it really this that's happening? And I started kind of being creative. This was kind of, I was younger. I was kind of in my 21 or something like that. Kind of just kind of getting into university. And I just really got kind of, I need to, kind of all of the songs, I need to learn exactly the chords that he makes, the time that he changes from one chord to the other, and really started getting really addicted to him.
Yeah, it becomes an obsession at that point.
Yeah, it is. And there's a kind of a club of a cult around João Gilberto of people that are really kind of passionate about him. And I started kind of back in the day was before the Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So the social media that was happening in Brazil was Orkut. I don't know if it happened here in North America, right? Yeah, it was a social media kind of before, pre-Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So this was, I guess, maybe 98, 99 or something like that I started kind of going to the João Gilberto communities and doing home videos, like kind of playing my arrangements and sharing with people, and that really got me hooked into music. And from there, I started like kind of some friends found me a nice bar to play in for the first time. So I was like kind of I consider myself old, right? I was like 21, 22 or something. You know, people start playing in bars when they are 15, 16. I don't know. You know, playing a guitar in a bar. But at that point, I still was like kind of into engineering and stuff until the like kind of the music bug bit me when I was like kind of finishing my engineering degree and discovering that like I'm not really was not gonna like kind of be in an office the whole day, and so I started, okay, let me see what I can do about music. And challenge that. It was around it.
It's interesting what you say about engineering, because I've been told, you know, musicians love to figure things out, much like you were trying to figure out the chords and where the fingers go and when the chord changed. And so you really were using a lot of what you would use in engineering, just engineering music.
Yeah, for sure. I think my approach to music has always been like music. I feel that like kind of a lot of the good musicians that I know and the majority of the musicians that I know that have been musicians since they were born, like, you know, they were a child and they discovered the guitar and they never, you know, most of these people they are like kind of sons of musicians, like important or not important, but professional musicians, and they got this since they were born. A lot of these people like kind of take music as this collective thing, or you have a musical family that everybody joins together and sings together. A lot of people play a lot of stuff and you do a little, you know, like kind of roda de samba there and stuff. My family was never like, my family is not that musical. My family is artistic. Like my brother is really into graphic arts. Both of my grandparents on my mother's side were like very famous theater actors. My dad even got into TV and my grandfather really got into TV, soap operas and stuff. He died kind of young. I never met him. But my grandmother was a great influence in me. She was like a legend, like a diva from the theater from like the 50s and 60s in São Paulo. And I got a lot of like this artistic ethics from her, because she's really an example in that.
Well, now that you've got your guitar there, do you want to play a little bit, maybe something you wrote, something in the bossa kind of vein?
Maybe really? Like kind of this one of the first songs that I composed.
Mm-hmm.
The first that kind of, you know, like when I was a bit like more mature in my like kind of musical, you know, path.
Mm-hmm.
Is this song called Unwritable, and it was right when I was meeting Chica and Kika, that are these two singers, which we built a Jobim tribute project together. So it was right when we were kind of getting together. I made this song that I had the melody and the harmony, but didn't have the lyrics, and they came up with these lyrics kind of in an English, that kind of, you know, Brazilian person speaking English, that's, you know, so I think it's something like that. Being loved by you's almost be free. It's the best way I have to find me. All I have to give is all that I believe. I don't remember the lyrics so much, but it's kind of this kind of line of very, major 7 bossa nova. That's a very
Beautifully sophisticated harmony too. For someone, if I get you correctly, you didn't really study other than the things you self-taught yourself by watching and listening. Is that right?
No, I studied piano, so like kind of my upbringing in piano was like kind of private lessons, was not like a course or anything. But on this music school in São Paulo, that's really nice. It's a music school that was founded by this band called Zimbo Trio. Is a classic band from the bossa nova, but they are kind of from São Paulo, but like from 60s, and it's a trio, like very like good pianist, and they were a major band back in the days in the 50s and 60s, and they opened this school that it kind of has a pedagogy, a kind of pedagogical thing of going like bossa nova, right? In Brazil, they call like when you say you study music, they ask you, do you study classical or popular? And so either you study like classical music, but the popular, it's not jazz, it's like kind of bossa nova. It's jazz also, but it's bossa nova. In the jazz kind of way of teaching, harmony and the harmonic analysis and all this stuff and improvising, it's all jazzistic, but it's applied on bossa nova. So this was like kind of bossa nova from the start, that I began like kind of doing Jobims and stuff as private lessons. I never like kind of really kind of studied a lot in my life. It was also like always like kind of listening, and my parents always listened a lot to Jobim, so like those kind of backseat of the car memories of trips and listening to Jobim's albums and stuff.
Well, and how beautiful to be listening to Jobim and actually being in Brazil and having the scenery roll by.
Yeah,
that he's talking about in the songs.
That's it. It's
part
cinematic.
Of your life.
Yeah, it's cinematic.
Cinematic. What a great word for that. Yeah,
that's it.
it's cinematic. And Jobim's providing the soundtrack for your cinematic experience.
Yeah, that's it. I think Jobim is this. It's this cinematic Brazil, like kind of in all its glory.
It's really true. It's really true. Do you want to play? Do you have a little something from your album that you can play a little bit on guitar?
Yeah. I can play the opening song on the guitar, which is Constelação, and it's kind of a similar path as the previous one, Unwritable, that I had the melodies and the harmonies. I wanted to do something like that, and we came up with the lyrics with Chica and Kika. And Igor. So afterwards, Igor is a drummer, a friend of ours, also joined the band. So we are this quartet that sometimes we collaborate a lot musically. So Constelação.
Tudo se passou numa constelação, elo principal da organização celestial. Todo tempo verbal, uma una criatura, num instante cardial da imaginação do objeto quântico, tudo volta com o mar do Atlântico solar. Toda pedra foi areia do espaço sideral, uma dança estelar pra sonhar, caminhar, conhecer. Pabarabara, pabarabada, pabarabara, pabarabada, pabarabada, pabarabada.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an absolutely beautiful song, and it's on the album, and I listened to it
It's
on the album. Of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
it's
Nice,
great,
nice.
and
I like it.
And it's cinematic.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I think we achieved this, and we wanted this kind of so. For those who can't figure out the Portuguese lyrics, it's all like kind of well, the song's called Constellation, but so it's all like kind of a cosmic journey and abstract lyrics about like kind of stardust and cosmos and infinity and things like that. So I think it really catches this vibe. Yeah,
it really does. Wow, thank you for playing that. Your album Celestial is your second album now. You had an EP before, which is also great. I listened
also
to
great.
Oh yeah, I listened to that a bunch as well.
Yeah, it was actually it was supposed to be an album. I wish I could call it an album, but Spotify, I think it's like 6 tracks or until 6 tracks, it automatically puts their EP. And this album actually it was supposed to have a 7th track. But it was a João Gilberto cover, and I didn't get the rights in time. Well, in time, no, at all, because like João Gilberto was alive at the time, and that I wanted to release. It was 2018, but it was right like kind of in these kind of later phases of his life that it was like his 2 sons fighting each other, and he was kind of already very fragile, and so he hadn't much control of things, and so it was kind of, and with João Gilberto is always like kind of this chaos, right? Everything that surrounds João Gilberto. So I couldn't get the rights. Yeah.
Maybe someday you'll have the opportunity to get the rights and record it and finally put it out.
It's out on YouTube because you can put anything on YouTube, so it's there. And I play it on this that Cultura Livre, a TV program that I made when I released the first album. I made this kind of live session on this TV program there called Cultura Livre. So it's on YouTube, and I played this song there. It's called Lamento de Vicente. And it's actually that song from João Gilberto from his White Album.
I know it well.
So that song, the story is that it was originally composed to be the soundtrack for this movie, and it had lyrics by Jorge Amado, who is this like kind of the writer from Bahia, the top, the iconic writer from Bahia. And he had lyrics for this song that was on a soundtrack for this movie that came out and stuff, but the soundtrack just passed by, and later João Gilberto recorded it as but I kind of so I kind of resurrected those lyrics and did it in a whole like kind of more funky kind of like a style like matching the rest of the album, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a nice one. You should check it.
I will definitely check it out, and I think I'll try and include the link to that actually in the sort of program notes, so that anyone who's interested in checking it out won't have to go searching for it. They'll be able to find it.
Yeah,
easily.
That's it. Cool.
Great story. Now I know your love for bossa nova and of course Brazilian soul, tropicalia scene.
Yeah, Tropicalia, saying everything, like all of this kind of stream of Brazilian culture, right?
Yeah. But you also got into a lot of other stuff, neo soul, R&B, all this global world music, folk music, I guess that you've been doing. How did you become interested in world music? Outside of what you were playing and learning and listening to every day in Brazil. What got you into the other stuff?
Well, actually, like kind of, it's hard to tell. Like kind of music is music, right? I always loved Latin music as well. And I play a lot of reggae also. This was a thing that I always played in São Paulo. It was my kind of, after I learned by myself the guitar, the next step on my career was when I kind of started coming out of the kind of piano on the piano school on your private lessons and started like kind of seeing keep the world of keyboards, you know, so synths and organs and electric pianos and what are the and this was done through reggae, through a reggae group that I was part of, and we were kind of mentored by this guy from Maranhão, who is like kind of the Brazilian capital of reggae. And this was a band like everybody was kind of amateur in the band, and some of the guys are still like kind of musicians, but others are like they have their jobs. It was a kind of a weekend friends band. But we had this kind of contact with this guy from Maranhão who really taught us like kind of foundational things of reggae. So reggae has always been a part of my life. So and I think so maybe like through this kind of bossa nova reggae you go into, you know, the foundations of reggae, that's kind of gospel and R&B. I was never like kind of studied gospel music and don't even come close to play anything gospel, but like it's a thing that I always like hearing and would, you know, try to imitate here and there, and even the blues stuff. So there you get the kind of and I think like kind of moving to Toronto was kind of a strong immersion in this R&B, like more new R&B kind
like
of thing,
neo soul kind of
like
thing.
neo soul and this hip hop that Toronto like produces a lot here, and you listen in the radio always and made a bunch of some friends in this scenario, although don't consider myself in this scene here, but like made some friends here and there, so that influenced me a lot. Yeah,
that's great. Well, I'll tell you, in Toronto there are some really fantastic gospel vocalists, gospel bands, and if you get a chance, you should go to some services and listen to everything live and really you know take it in.
I would love that. Yeah, for sure. I've never like kind of came across this, but maybe you'll give me.
No, I'm going to send you an introduction because
cool.
Because you
That's
really need
be nice.
You really need to hear it in church.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you gotta listen to the stuff where they happen, right? So,
yeah, and there's some really great musicians. I will definitely follow up with you and send you some introductions because as you know, Toronto has pretty much everything, and and it includes some great gospel music as well.
For sure. Yeah, I think the musicianship level in Toronto is something that really impressed me, like really positively when I came here in relation to Brazil. And I'm not like kind of, it's funny because like kind of my generation of this kind of indie Brazilian music has kind of this it's almost like a fight against musicianship in a sense, you know, that the, you know, let's do the raw, like the important is the sound, is the sound that you make, the recording, how it sounds, or you come up with a new sound, or you make noise music, and you know, that's really enriching, and that's really like kind of, I think it's kind of the thing of the turn of the millennium music, where people were like kind of where virtuosism was not considered cool anymore, you know. So,
well, it's like punk rock in a way.
Yeah, in a way, like kind of we are like kind of the offspring of this era of breaking the molds, right? And when and coming here to Toronto, like kind of I had a really a breath of music. Like people here go through jazz school, and like enormous like piano players, and every instrumentalist here in Toronto has a basic level that's like kind of really, you know, read your charts.
It's super high. It's super high.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, as there's that as well, there's definitely a place for the other part, which is being authentic, sounding good, and playing from the heart. And you don't need to be. It's nice to hear virtuosos, but that's not always what moves you. So
that's it.
There's a little bit of everything, right?
A little bit of everything, yeah. And you can, and people, although they are virtuosos, they are open-minded as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they, it's great, like kind of working here in this sense of like kind of putting together something to play with musicians that are from here, and it always goes smoothly. Everybody loves charts, like kind of read your charts and it all works. In Brazil, depending on the environment you're at, it's like no charts, man. Like, let's just come together here, work out our groove here live, and it's a very beautiful thing. And sometimes it lacks. Sometimes who is too much on the chart side lack this kind of ability to connect on this kind of intimate level of music. Yeah.
Well, normally for myself, I mean, I don't think I can read a chart to save my life at this point. I mean, I know what I'm reading, but I can't do it in a live situation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I perform, I memorize everything. I don't use.
Me too.
I don't use an iPad. I don't use the iPhone. I don't have a piece of paper. I just know what I'm going to play, and I play it because it's easier for me to play that way than to try and read it and then interpret what I'm reading into the emotional part.
Yeah. I am kind of in between. I love charts for organizing a band, of course. Charts are awesome, and if everybody like kind of reads charts, but for the performance, I almost never read, and I find it troublesome because I also don't like to read lyrics while I'm performing, and I'm just terrible at changing lyrics and getting them wrong. And I think it's a good thing that I'm in Toronto, that sometimes like kind of half of the audience doesn't understand what I'm singing, so I can sing the other way around and it doesn't hurt so much. Right. But I'm super prone to forgetting lyrics and swapping lyrics. It's a thing.
Create something new. Maybe it's a good thing in a way, right?
Yeah.
On this, what prompted you? What made you decide to create this particular album, and in particular, the collaborations that you chose? Because you have a thing which I find really great, which is you're on other people's albums as a collaborator. You write and you bring other people into your music as a collaborator, and then you've got this incredible album. Tell me a little bit about how it all came to be.
Yeah, like I am definitely not that kind of bedroom producer who makes the whole thing. Like, and I always needed people to do things with people because, my coming out, my maturity in music was always through people, through like kind of decoding someone else's song and making it, and understanding my part in it and things like that. So when I work on my own stuff, I kind of need this input from people and need this kind of, I need everybody's sauce, right?
Right.
So,
you need to bounce the ideas.
Yeah.
Really, truly collaboration. You need to have people
it.
to work with and collaborate with.
So, and it's always a long process for me to make an album because that's it. I'm not a composer, so a lot of the people that usually because it's kind of that idea of the album from the sideman of the band. There's always like kind of the album from, I don't know, Led Zeppelin or something like that, and then the keyboard player or the drummer of that band or something, or and I don't consider myself like a solo artist, and I'm like kind of composing is kind of a side job for me, musically. So my composition, like I take a long time to compose. So most of the people my friends who are the composers who record an album, they say, okay, I want to record an album and release it next year. I have 30 songs on my book here, and I need to choose 10 of those 30 songs to make an album, and this is a problem. My way is the opposite. Like I normally have 1 or 2 songs that I think, okay, those 2 songs, they mean something together. And then 1 year later, I come up with another song, and oh yeah, this one has to do. And then I find a friend's song that, I could do this in another style and it would match here. So constructing an album for me is always a slow process. And this album, Celestial, was kind of this, right?
How long did it take to put the album together?
I think I had the first, I think I have Constelação, which was one of the first songs which kind of prompted a bit of the way for the album. I have it composed since 2018, 2019 maybe, or some. Well, 2018 I was releasing Bilis Negra, my first, the EP album. So I think I composed Constelação around 2019 or 2020 maybe, not so much after that. And I started recording the album in 2023 and released in 25. Yeah. So 2 years in the recording process since I started recording. But so it was like around 2 or 3 years to put together the songs for it.
The album doesn't feel that way. That's the interesting part.
Yeah.
You're telling me this, and now I know the history of it. But really, when you're listening to it, it sounds really together, and every song flows into the next song, and it could have been one of those situations where you had 30 songs and had to pick 10. So no one's going to know the difference.
That's it. Or that situation that you put people together in a room and let's make something up on the go, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was like kind of distillation process of putting the songs there and seeing if they stay there. And there are songs that came out that didn't go on the album because when we were recording it, they didn't make sense. So when we were recording, I had I think 10 or 12 possible songs, of which I wanted to record 8 or 9 or something like that. So it was we only had 2 or 3 eliminations in this process to narrow down the album. And I like short albums. I don't like people do sometimes 13, 14, 15 track album. I prefer an 8, 9 tracks that are glued together.
Right. That makes sense. You recorded parts of it, I think, in Brazil, Portugal, and Canada.
Yeah. So I started in Portugal because at the time there were these great musicians living there from Rio de Janeiro, from Brazil, who's Domenico Lancelotti on the drums and Ricardo Dias Gomes on the bass. So I was always a fan of Ricardo Dias Gomes. From all, he worked with Lucas Santana, who is a great guy. I played with him, had the honor of playing with him back in the days. And Ricardo Dias Gomes, he was also the bassist for Caetano Veloso when he had that Banda C. Apart, he released a couple of albums with this band with younger guys, and Ricardinho was his bassist. So I always tracked always loved his style, and knew that he had what it takes. So that is this Rio de Janeiro energy that speaks to bossa nova, that takes bossa nova in a really like kind of proper and authentic way, but also this contemporary indie experimental vibe, right? So I aimed for him, but actually the year prior to that, I met Domenico because he came to Toronto to play with Bruno Capinan, which is a great friend, and Bruno always works with Domenico, and I always like kind of loved that scene where Domenico and Ricardinho are in Rio. It's a really creative kind of indie scene that they are a part of. So then Domenico came to Toronto, and he slept actually in my house because the Ben Gil, who was playing the guitars, was already sleeping at Bruno's. And I was playing the keyboards on the band, and so, okay, can you have Domenico at your place? Okay, and we connected, and he's such a beautiful human being and very, like, nice and enlightened person, and very criterious and you know, with his playing, with his style. So then they kind of had a studio together in Lisbon. So I kind of got together with them, asked them to record this album, because I thought it would be like kind of the right style for that core of like drum and bass for the album, that groove. That's really what I wanted. And then like Pedro Sá, who is also a great guitarist from the Rio de Janeiro scene, he was kind of, they were on the break between a tour in Europe with a Brazilian artist, and Pedro Sá was staying there at Domenico's place. So Domenico said, "Oh, we got Pedro Sá here, and is there like budget for him or something?" And yeah, I just had like approved a grant here in Canada, so I kind of used this money to like kind of record this foundation in Lisbon and really have this solid foundation for the album. It was a really simple recording, and that was the beauty of it. And it was like, I spent, I think, 7 days there or 8, and recorded these kind of 8 or 9 songs. One each day was kind of one each day, like kind of, okay, what are we going to record now? And just like kind of, they would learn the song on the go. Okay, which is the song? Okay, this one. Okay, oh, I think it will be like that, and 2-3 takes. Okay, it's beautiful. Let's do it.
Sounds like a Beatles way of recording music.
Yeah,
sit down and play it a few different ways. Try some ideas, and then something.
Yeah, and trust the first ideas, because the first ideas are always. This is a thing that I have learned in my kind of recording life. With the partners that I had, like in São Paulo before coming to Toronto, I was kind of part of a scene, like of kind of people from the northeast of Brazil and north of Brazil that were in São Paulo. There was kind of when I started getting into the kind of indie or original composer scene in Brazil, and we always like kind of we learned like kind of this kind of recording and production process, like kind of self-teaching ourselves and watching documentaries and working on studios and things like that. And there's always this thing, like the first takes are always the best. Even if they have mistakes, those mistakes are like less important than you trying it for the 10th time and it's all mechanical now, and it's all like kind of doesn't have the sauce, right?
I would agree. Yeah. I would agree. Never erase the first takes.
Never. and like kind of be prepared to, from the first take, the recording be kind of already set. Like don't adjust on the go. Because or else you will lose that first take, and then you're losing the gold. So like kind of that is my production and recording advice.
It's great advice. You have to be able to tune into the magic in the room and let it happen.
Yeah.
And not get in the way with,
and not waste it. Yeah, not waste it. That's it, because it goes fast too, right? Yeah.
What do you see some differences or some similarities in the scene between, let's say, Brazil and Portugal and Canada?
Yeah, for sure. Well, uh, I'm like kind of, I think, as I was saying, that the musicianship here in Canada is such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Brazil, this kind of original singer-songwriter indie scene
Mm-hmm.
is such a high level that it's kind of it's it may be like kind of a negative thing that I kind of found when I came here to Toronto. Was I missed really that like kind of the strength and the initiative of the artists in Brazil scene, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it's that like Brazil is a musical culture, so music is like, you know, everywhere, and it is a question of pride, and you know you gotta do it right, and you gotta, you know, have your show needs to be like kind of that, right? And not that Canada doesn't have this. I think Canada has this in a lot of like kind of you know, stadium music level, really like kind of main, like, you know, and it's done in such a, you know, top level of equipment and technology and stuff. Okay, but I think the grassroots original work scene in Brazil has this energy that it doesn't have anywhere, and like not even close in Portugal. There
Mm-hmm.
was a big kind of Brazilian migration to Portugal, especially first during the pandemic, and also like when Bolsonaro came into power in Brazil. It was like kind of a lot of people really like kind of fled
Mm-hmm.
to Lisbon, and a lot of artists and stuff. And one would think that, okay, now the cultural scene in Lisbon will flourish and stuff, but what I hear is that it kind of it's kind of, Portugal is kind of a slow scene in this sense. So of course you got Europe there, and in the summer festivals everywhere, and it's easy to travel, and so you can, you know, but in terms of a local like kind of, you know, original scene that produces impactful things,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing like Brazil, and especially São Paulo. That's right now. Well, São Paulo is the hub, right? Not that is music from Paulistas, but São Paulo is the hub where music from all of Brazil like kind of flourishes, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing to listen to it and to
Yeah.
be able to experience it for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, do you want to play a little bit of keyboard
Yeah, yeah.
for
I
us?
got piano here. What should I do?
Well, if you want to do you have anything maybe you could do from your album, a little something?
Yeah, so this is Pode Ser. That-
One of my favorite songs on that
Oh,
album,
yeah.
by the way. Yeah.
oh, the camera is tracking me, right? I think so.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, okay. So I can maybe come a bit here. Yeah. So, Pode Ser, this is simple, one of those compositions that it was one of the last ones to get into the album, because it was just a little samba groove that it was kind of, how do you say, ingenuo, naive, kind of naive little samba thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in Portugal with the guys, it was like kind of, okay, what are we gonna do today? Oh, I don't know what I'm. Okay, I have this kind of little, you know, simple samba. I don't have lyrics for it, don't have anything for it. So let's just record that little samba here and that little thing. And I took it to Toronto to finalize. And then I called this friend from Fortaleza, Pedro Breculé. So because like I know actually it's good to play this song and talk about my relationship with Fortaleza, Brazil. Cause so like starting in the indie scene in São Paulo, like one of my first connections was with artists from Fortaleza. So Saulo Duarte, Daniel Groove, and this band called Fossil. That's a kind of an instrumental, like kind of psychedelic band. And I really like kind of made like kind of dear and huge friends in Fortaleza and used to go there a lot. So Pedro Brecolé is one of those good friends that live there.
And is Fortaleza a scene or a place? Excuse me for...
Oh yeah, Fortaleza is a city in the state of Ceará, so it's the northeast of Brazil. So it's like kind of after Brazil gives that turn, so it's really like kind of almost facing the Caribbean, but not really, but like kind of, so it's a really hot place and with hot people, warm people, and hot people.
Sounds like an amazing place, and sounds like there's amazing musicians there.
Yeah. So I made this. So this samba, I sent it to Pedro Brecolé. He has this had back in the days, like when I started this great band called Brecolé. That's why his name is that. And they did this kind of more kind of brainy, sophisticated Brazilian music that was so beautiful and wasn't cheesy, you know, that can be sophisticated and good at the same time. So yeah, he's a great friend, and we did this. Pode ser que não seja melhor ficar, mas crer vai mudar. Se fugir ou fingir não querer saber o que virá, o que resta do nosso lugar. Não há mais, tudo escureceu. Afinal, ou é morro ou é mar, você e eu. Pode ser, só você pode acreditar. Quer ver? Vem dançar. Colorida demais, vem se dissolver. Suar sem ar. É assim, temos que perdoar e viver o que se prometeu. Afinal, ou ela era ou ela, você e eu. Yeah, something like that.
That's such a great song.
Yeah, it's so that simplicity, right? And it's also very João Gilbertian, like kind of the harmony, the jumps of the melodies. I think it's has this João Gilberto vibe.
Thank goodness for those old albums and videos that you got a chance to watch when you were a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Thank God for my dad who had the guitar in the house and all this material, for sure.
Yeah, it's really, you know, you never know what things inspire and come to life later on. And the fact that you had that growing up, even though you didn't have some of the other things that might be sort of, you know, the kinds of things that musicians might talk about.
Yeah.
You had something that required you to really figure it out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know, like kind of, I think that's the difference that I sometimes see, like, is that like music for me was always was from the start and not like now I have a career on this, but from the start music was always more of an individual thing and a introspective thing, right? It was like me on my bedroom trying to figure out what's happening, and with no like kind of it wasn't me on a bar and on a big circle of people sharing music and singing together and being happy. No, it was me on my bedroom feeling the things and understanding what led to what feeling or something like that.
Yeah,
so,
I understand that completely. It's sometimes it's interesting that I think musicians, what really gets them interested is to say, how are they doing that and how can I do that? Because I want to feel what it feels like to do that.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, I want to actually do it so I can feel what it feels like. It's got to be amazing, so let's get to it and figure it out.
And it doesn't have words and it doesn't even have a meaning. You know, João Gilberto is this. Like sometimes it's like those two notes that does plum plum on that part of the song. That feels so like kind of, that's it. And I want to do that. Yeah. That's what,
we're on the same page on that. I understand that completely. And It's what drives me to learn a lot of that is I really want to know. I want to be able to understand how to do it and be able to find that feeling for myself, right?
To try to feel it also, right? Yeah, for sure.
It's great to do. What kinds of things are you looking at doing next? Because you've got the album out and that's great. And now, of course, what are you looking forward to doing? Are you doing shows based on the album, or are you going to do some touring?
Yeah, I made a show based on the album that I kind of played like it for a first official time back in December at the Cameron House. And so that was kind of, and I got some footage there and stuff. So right now I'm kind of applying for summer stuff. But I also always try to play with Passarim, with this project I have with Chica, Kika, and Igor too. So I managed to bring them here to Toronto the past 2 years. Now we're trying it again this year. Maybe it won't happen, but maybe we'll have some things in Brazil. But playing this album, this kind of original, like kind of me being the frontman of a project, really like kind of only happened when I moved to Toronto. Although like kind of I released my first album Bilis Negra like kind of in the process of deciding to come to Toronto, but still in Brazil, like produced and made all when I was in Brazil in the scene there. But I never intended to kind of launch a solo career where I would tour the world with my, like kind of it's that thing that I was saying about the Sideman album, right? So I want to put good albums there and have them as what do you say? How do you say patrimônio? Patrimônio is like when you have a house and a bank account and what's this? Equity. Equity. Yeah, that's it. So I see albums in my career more as this kind of equity thing of like kind of having a history of releases, but not necessarily like kind of this driving me to being a solo artist that will tour the world. Of course, I would love to like kind of, have a booker or someone who would grab me by the arm and come on, you will tour the world with me and I will arrange everything for you. Okay, I would go. But like kind of it's not something that I lean on because I always am looking for like kind of to work with other people and to do all those things, right?
Well, sometimes being a sideman can be even more fun,
and
more rewarding.
It is. I like it. It's a bit more protected, right? Of course, right? You're a bit less responsibility, although there is responsibility, but you're not in the line of fire. But like kind of coming up also. Right now I'm at U of T doing this master's in recording and a bit of production. So I'm really kind of running and working with an album, an EP actually, that will be kind of my major, graduation project here. But it will be an EP that will be out there, and I'm like kind of trying to stretch it for it to become an album, and I think I will manage to do that. Maybe like not for the university work, but afterwards build on it and become an album. But this is a very interesting project and a very different from lots of things that not so different, but like kind of different. But
how many years is your course?
2 years, but I'm on the second year, so I graduate now this summer. So
wow.
So I hope to have this album out by July or August or maybe end of summer. So this album is a tribute to this American composer called Moondog.
I don't know that composer.
No? Okay, so Moondog. He really influenced a lot of the minimalist guys. So he was very friends of Philip Glass, and Steve Reich and these guys from this kind of minimalistic movement in the New York in the 70s. He was a blind musician and kind of a street musician who would like busk on Manhattan there on the Fifth Avenue. He was like actually, you kind of look like him. So he was kind of your style, you know, this kind of big white beard, big man, tall man, but the difference is that he would dress as a Viking and be busking in the streets of New York, doing song and poetry, and playing percussion instruments that he made by himself and stuff. But on top of that, he was a very, like, most people even didn't know, like, took him as this kind of street busker. But he was a very accomplished composer. So he studied like Braille on Braille school to write music and composed like kind of lots of things. So I'm doing this tribute album to him, kind of getting his songs and reshaping them in the style of different bands of friends that I have made in Toronto during my my life here. So I picked up like kind of bands that I already played with as a sub or that I have some relationship with, the friends and stuff, trying to get like a broad number of genres there and doing like kind of reshaping his songs to these kind of genres. So it's turning out really, really nice. I'm really like kind of enjoying the process.
I imagine. And you're doing, I think you're doing what you do best is you're exploring. You love to explore things.
Yeah, I'm re-engineering his songs.
And you're collaborating and creating something. You're creating new soundscapes.
Yeah.
With all of these connections that you've made, I think it's a real talent that you have, because I know that the times that I've seen you in various situations, bands are so excited that you're in the band.
Yeah, it's a thing that I really like kind of developed on my career and love to do that, like kind of to be on a band and to, like kind of figure out things.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really great, and I'm excited to hear more about this new project. Maybe we'll talk another time.
Yes.
Once you've released the new album at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think by the end of the year it will be there, and then I'm like kind of wanna also on like kind of I want to be a workaholic, and I kind of am in a sense, as much as I can, but I kind of don't destroy my life for it. But like maybe I will. But like I want to get in another like kind of more original album over the summer. That's another kind of plan in the making, because like I still have access to the studio at the university, so I can like kind of maybe squeeze in a couple of sessions there and maybe have another album. So why not?
Why not? You have the opportunity. You've got the studio.
Yeah, I gotta take it. I don't have time to lose.
Yeah, the time is now.
Yeah, that's it.
The time is now. Well, thanks for talking with me today.
All right.
I learned so much talking with you, and I'm really excited about not only the album that you just released, because it's great, but all of these new things you're talking about as well. It's going to be a fantastic year.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me and giving the space to share ideas. It's really, really meaningful also for this side of the camera, for sure. Thanks
as well. And we'll talk to you about your new stuff next year.
All right. Yeah. It will be great to have me again. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thanks so much.
All right. See you, Mark.